Welcome to my History of Witchcraft series. Today I'm getting into the Great Goddess, as well as I'll be getting into Persephone and Pan. The Greeks are rightly well known for their extraordinary variety of gods. Among these, one of the greatest, most powerful, most loved, and most feared is Hecate. Hecate, whose name means one who stands aloof, was and remains one of the most complex of all goddesses. She predates Greek deities, but was adopted by the Greeks and was revered even by the father of the gods, Zeus himself. Hecate has many roles. She is at once the goddess of fertility, the goddess of moon, and the goddess of the underworld. Hecate is also the goddess of all magic and witchcraft. It is in the last roles that Hecate has become notorious in Western culture, in which she has been portrayed roaming the night with red-eyed hounds from hell, haunting graveyards, provoking dogs to howl with terror at her unseen presence, causing nightmares and insanity. To Shakespeare in his play Macbeth, she is the feared queen of the witches. One of her ancient names was the Nameless One. Yet Hecate is far from being one of the dimensional characters either in Greek thought or in modern interpretations of her. She is often depicted with 3 heads and even 3 bodies, emphasizing her ability to see both past, present, and future, as well as her role as the goddess of crossroads. Indeed, those who worshipped her are said to have left offerings for her at crossroads. Crossroads have been a symbol as well as a literal function. They are in between one path and another. They show transition, and the context of Hecate are connected with the transition points of birth and death. She is, as mentioned, both the goddess of fertility, that is growth and life, and the goddess of the underworld. Once again, in the ancient world, life and death, light and dark, are linked as part of the whole. Death cannot be without life, and life cannot be without death, the endless cycle. Persephone, Hecate too, is linked with childbirth and with midwives. This is significant in connection. The middle-aged midwives were sometimes persecuted as witches. Meanwhile, according to Doreen Valiante, a witch who helped to compose some of the rituals of the modern-day Wicca religion, one of the symbols of Hecate was a key. This apparently demonstrated her ability to lock up or release spirits of any kind. She had the power to grant or refuse what any person desired. Hecate was also a moon goddess, sometimes linked with the other goddesses Selene and Artemis, in which she, Hecate, was the waning dark side of the moon. For others, though, she was the moon, its waxing, waning, and fullness all in one. In a modern interpretation of her, she is wisdom, our subconscious, the inner hidden self, the dark side that we have to connect with the conscious mind in order to achieve unity in our lives. The main role of Hecate in one of the Greek myths emphasizes many of her distinctive characteristics. It is she who helped search for Persephone after the latter was abducted from a peaceful sunlit meadow by brooding lord of the underworld, Hades. As a result, Persephone spends part of the year traveling to the earth to stay, spring and summer, and part of the year descending back to hell for a period, autumn and winter. Her companion is Hecate, linking the goddess to the seasonal cycle. Hecate represented nighttime, and her companion was the magical familiar, the owl. It was one of the most powerful and certainly the most feared of all gods. At night, Hecate was said to roam the earth with a pack of hellhounds visible only to dogs, who would howl with terror at her presence. Pan, Pan is a very different Greek god, half man, half goat, and a very popular image. Pan, son of Hermes, was an important god symbolizing nature, lust, playfulness, and all things pastoral. His importance to witchcraft is that he is now identified with modern witchcraft as a version of the horned god. The horned god is seen as a consort to the goddess, and his annual birth at Yuletide and his symbolic death at the end of each symbol mark the passing of the seasons, the cycle of the birth, death, and rebirth in nature. Another important point is that some of the physical characteristics of Pan, including his goat-like appearance and sexual appetite, was later attributed to the Christian world as the devil. Certainly Christians have had problems with the idea of Pan, who reveled in some pleasures that Christian traditions have considered sinful. Because of his liberated and inhibited behavior, Pan is regarded by witches as the moralizing and rule-driven Christian church. Early Christians, therefore, took comfort from the knowledge that Pan was supposed to have died during the reign of the Roman Emperor Tiberius in 14 to 37 AD. The story is that a ship was becalmed off the island of Paxos, and a voice from the shore shouted, "Tammuz," 3 times. Now, Tammuz was the name of a Babylonian god, the consort to Ishtar, but also happened to be the name of the ship's pilot. The pilot answered the cries, and the mystery voice replied, "Tell them that great Pan is dead." When reported ashore, the pilot's dramatic story provoked tears and crying, and the emperor quickly gathered scholars together to rule on this pressing matter. Their verdict was that the Pan in question must have been a demon, not the god. Christians thought otherwise, later proclaiming that it was a sign the pagan era was over. The main portrait we have of witches during ancient Greek times is by literature. It's a colorful and, it must be said, largely negative. An important image that has lingered down the eons is that of Circe. She is sometimes described as the daughter or priestess of Hecate, and sometimes as the child of Helios and Perse. Circe says and plays an important role in Homer's Odyssey, when Odysseus and his men chance upon her doleful island of Aeaea. His men turn into pigs, but Odysseus, with the help of the god Hermes and the herb Molly, escapes this fate. Eventually, he and Circe spend a happy year together on the island. She later helps him on his voyage home. The image of Circe is complicated. She is depicted as a beautiful woman, a goddess, a witch, or a sorceress. Someone who has no qualm about turning men into animals, but equally she is prepared to help another for no obvious ulterior motive. Certain she has a powerful reputation as a worker of magic, because she is said to have been able to use her braids to control the forces of nature. Knots are commonly used in magical spells. She was also an early example of the link between witchcraft and herbs. She turned men into pigs using noxious herbs and was also said to have killed her husband with poison. I hope you enjoyed this video of witchcraft in history. If so, subscribe to my channel. I'll have more witchcraft history available to you. Have a wonderful day. Many blessings. Bye-bye.